Welcome to In the Particles, where we gather with our community to talk about the creative process and postmodern performance practices and explore a perhaps new art movement that we're calling particlism.
Hi, welcome to In the Particles. This is Youlim from New York City.
And this is Sophia, currently in Victoria, Canada. Hello.
Hello. So we are here to... Oh, by the way, hi, Deborah.
It'll just be you, Youlim, and me today.
Yes, but we'll see Deborah very soon, like in the next episode. But anyway, so we're here to talk about the drawing that you guys see whenever you guys play episodes. Yeah, it's a mysterious, right? It's like all the boxes, cubes are there, and I'm very excited for Sophia to share an origin story of the drawing. And drawing is by Mary Overlie. So, Sophia, here's your mic.
Thank you. Yeah, I am looking at this drawing right now, and I just want to say that thinking about it, looking at it, I'm really struck by what it feels like to see Mary's ephemera, Mary's imprint left on paper with pen.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to take a moment starting this conversation off with remembering Mary's hands before we talk about like what the drawing means and why we chose it. For anyone who knew Mary, you know that she was quite a visual thinker, and drawing really helped her to distill her ideas. And there's many what she would call like signposts or symbols that she created and used.
Mm-hmm.
But her hands were also so incredibly intelligent and unique in so many ways. Just thinking about the way that they moved and the way that they touched or gave correction and floor bar. She was really, really specific in communicating with her hands, and I feel like that is carried into her drawings as well. So it's
And
really...
also,
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yes, just a reminder, she's the one who invented a word of particlism.
Well, I have something that's kind of true, but kind of not true. So I have something to add to that, which is is a little addendum after listening to a couple of the other episodes. I never heard Mary use the word particlism. I don't think she ever used that word.
Mm-hmm.
She would use the word particles as the working material, and she turned turning something into particles. She did invent a verb to particleize, to particleize something, which would be to break something into smaller and smaller bits or notice subtler and subtler aspects of something. But following that idea, when you asked me, Youlim, about what this was, what kind of art movement this is, what sort of postmodernism is this, I responded with the word particlism. So I feel like I have to sort of, for better or for worse, take responsibility for this kind of new...
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. So it's definitely originates in Mary's question and contribution, but she really called herself a postmodernist.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until I started learning about a lot of other kinds of postmodernisms
Mm-hmm.
that I felt like I needed a word that was a little bit more specific to the work that I had been practicing with her and the intersections I saw with other kinds of
Mm-hmm.
practice, of art practice, and also critical theory. And so I started using this word, particleist,
Mm-hmm.
particlism.
I love that. Thanks
Yeah.
for starting using that word.
Sure. Yeah.
It's very convenient and it's solid. So I guess I'm curious why you chose, because there are a lot of other drawings that Mary draw, and I'm curious why you chose this specific drawing for our podcast in the particles that we're talking about particlism.
So this drawing, I'll just describe it briefly in case you're not looking or can't see it. This is a drawing of 6 boxes, and in each box there is a shape, and each of those shapes is a cube that has been deconstructed in some way, and each of them are different. In Mary's teaching of the 6 viewpoints, which is her major conceptual contribution to the world of performance.
Mm-hmm. Can you remind the listeners what is 6 viewpoints, please?
Yeah, the viewpoints, sometimes called 6 viewpoints, sometimes called the viewpoints, is an approach, a technique, and a theory of performance making that can work both in composition and in improvisation, that places our ability to shift our perceptual field at the center of the creative process.
Mm-hmm.
So in the 6 viewpoints practice, the practitioner would approach their time in the studio by sharpening or working to sharpen their conscious awareness. And Mary, it's called the 6 viewpoints because Mary identified 6 different points of view that you could take when shifting between different lenses of your perception in performance. And those 6 that she found are space, shape, time, emotion, movement, and story.
Beautiful.
Yeah, every time I describe what the viewpoints are, I'm like, okay, here's another draft. But yeah. So Mary, when she was teaching the 6 viewpoints, she would give, she'd lead people in a few days of practice and experiments, or a few weeks, however long you were getting to study with her. And then usually about right in the middle of the curriculum, she would give the 6 viewpoints lecture, where she would share how she found what she found, how she developed her ideas, and what the journey of the creative process was for her, and how she named and articulated these things in relationship with other thinkers and artists. And one of the big first steps in looking in the 6 viewpoints approach is identifying that many of us receive an idea or a portrait of theater or dance as a static, stable, unchanging form. And that's communicated to us by what we see in theaters, or it's communicated to us by the type of techniques we learn. And we're usually not being introduced to theater training with a critical eye of like, what's at work here in terms of the artist's priorities, or how is the artist working with the different materials of performance to create this thing. It's a very modernist approach to learning that we say, okay, this is what theater is. Now you try to go do it. Go become that.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of two-dimensional.
Yeah, two-dimensional. And also, I think it's about like filling a form that already exists with your own sensibility or your own technique, as well as this idea of trying to raise yourself up to be good enough to perform in the theater or dance, like as if it's outside of our current experience. So that version Mary would call solid state theater, where there's already a set of rules, a set of priorities and hierarchies at work that are often silent or not named. It's like the received narrative of what theater or dance should be. So that's solid state theater. And to bring it back to the drawing, Mary would draw a cube to describe solid state theater. So she'd draw a square that would turn into a 3-dimensional cube. And then she would take each of those sides of the cube as one of the viewpoints: space, shape, time, emotion, movement, and story. And depending on which side of the cube was facing you, you would see what is the highest priority of this form in a modernist sense. So like in theater, probably be story, with emotion right up there with it. In dance, it'd probably be movement. Maybe with emotion or shape right up there with it. So we can look at that as modernist performance. It's this like closed thing that you as a performer or an artist have to tap into that structure in order to succeed. Now, when she peels the cube apart, which is what these are drawings of, is this cube being pulled apart, the relationships between the materials, space, shape, time, emotion, movement, and story, the relationships between those materials are able to shift. And this is what, if you are able to tap into your own ability to change your perceptual field, like, which is really another simple way of saying that is looking at something from multiple perspectives. Then as an artist, you can experiment in actually contributing formally with different types of forms. So these deconstructed cubes inside of these boxes I think, are a really nice invitation to our listeners, to people in our community, to bring forward what their theater or their dance or their performance or their visual art or their research, their inquiry, to bring that forward, for the relationships to be studied, for the questions to be studied, rather than attempting to mold ourselves into forms of the past.
Which is finite, I would say. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Exactly. It's finite. And this way of thinking and approaching our work is so not finite. We have no idea where we might go.
I want to say.
I agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree. I think it's an infinite and unpredictable. Is another important part, is that it's totally unpredictable.
I feel like this, you can apply this to just the life situations. I feel like for example, when you're stuck in like certain situation, maybe you can start thinking about this and then looking at the same situation in different angles. You can think about your relationship with time, relationship with space, for example. So,
yeah, do you have any examples of moments in life that you're thinking about?
I can like make it up. Let me think. Yeah.
What is it?
I don't. It hasn't come. It hasn't arrived.
Well, I have one.
Yes,
I have one. Like even okay, so if you live in a city with public transit, or even just being in your car, if you have a car, but I'm thinking about the New York City subway and moments where I have been stuck in the subway and this train has stopped.
Oh my God.
And you are completely out of control.
Right.
Like you have no idea how long you're going to be there, why it's happening. And, there's of course the response if you're trying to get somewhere by a certain time of like stress.
Stress.
Which is totally understandable. I've been there many, many times. But there's also an opportunity in that moment to reframe your relationship or your experience with time. You're like, okay, so what is this quality of time? I don't know what the amount of it will be, which is often how we think about time in like measured amounts. But what is the tone of this time? Or like, what is the musicality of this moment that I'm having in this subway with these other people? Yeah, sort of like a little intervention.
That's a beautiful example. And I feel like that sounds like, for me, like invitation to be in the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like,
Yes, there's a lot of different ways to be in the moment. I think being in the moment, the phrase can sometimes feel like opaque to me. Like, okay, I'll be in the moment, but what does that mean? But here, with all of the entryways that Mary has given us, we have at least 6 doorways of approaching our moment.
Yes. So would you say you get more information from the same moment?
Oh yeah.
Objects, same.
yes, you get more information, and also I find that I change based on the kind of information that I am attending to in a situation. Like my nervous system shifts, my state of being shifts, my body will change.
Like the unfolded cube.
Yeah. Whoa, exactly.
Nice. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
thanks, Mary, for your wisdom. That
Thank you,
really
Mary.
clicked.
What'd you say?
That really clicked.
Yes.
Mm.
Beautifully connected. Nice. Well, thank you so much for being in this conversation with me, Yudim.
Yeah, thanks, Sophia, for sharing all the stories. And now, like, I hope all the listeners can appreciate more the drawings and yeah. Thank you.
Send you all a beautiful day.
Yes. All right. We'll see you in the next episode. If you like this episode, please don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. Bye!